As a long-time advocate and champion of police station executives in our party, my promise to delegates is that if I become the new flag bearer of our party, I'll ensure the following. First, all party executives, particularly from polling station executives to electoral area coordinators and constituency executives, shall be provided with their own means of transport, that is either motorbikes or bicycles, to use for their party work. These will be registered in their personal names so that even after serving their term of office as executives, the motorbikes and bicycles remain their personal property as reward for serving the party. Secondly, all party executives will receive their campaign funds directly through mobile money transfer. Thirdly, all party executives, particularly at the polling station, area coordinators and constituency levels, who want to work full-time for the party, and I stress this, who want to work full-time for the party, shall receive full salary every month as party executives.
You're welcome back. And first to be seated in the studio is a man who is already taking a tour of some of the places of the polling stations that are going to have the delegates voting. In fact, this work must be on his lap, but he's made time to be with us here so that you can be properly informed. And of course, delegates are listening to the show, so it's important that he helps with their education as to what exactly is going to be done. Kwabna Ejapong is the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, Samson. It's a long while.
Great.
Really long while.
And like I was saying earlier, we haven't met since that unfortunate accident. Okay. And you're looking healthy and good.
By the grace of Allah.
Thank God for your life.
Thank you very
much. Right. So we are going to be joined by Abdul Malik Wekubaka Jr., who is a regular panelist. We'll be joined by Mahama Ayariga, who is the Minister for Youth and Sports, and also Dr. Maria Zakaria to help us with the analysis of the NPP's Congress that is going on, primaries that is going on, and of course the other issues that we have to discuss. Three major issues that we are looking at today. But of course, the one that is taking the center stage is the NPP's conference or primaries that is going on right now. There are a number of rules that have been issued out concerning how the process should be conducted. In the course of the show, we'll be reading out to you so that if you're a delegate and you're listening and you're at a polling station and you don't have the benefit of some of the rules, you'll be properly guided. This show is brought to you by Bank of Africa, as strong as a group and close as a partner. Star Travel Policy from Star Assurance. Star Assurance, that is your solid partner. Of course, MTN, welcome to the new world. MTN is everywhere you are. And everywhere you go, they are there. Sasso Spray, Kum and Tuntum Preko. And Oneplex 400, that's your one-stop dewormer for the family. And of course, Garden City University College. Dr. Maria Zakaria.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for coming to the studio.
Thank you
for the
opportunity.
Having had you in a long while.
That's right.
Good to have you also.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. So we are waiting for Abdul Malik Wekubaka Jr. and Mahama Ayariga, who should join us shortly, and then we will continue with the discussion. Now, you've just, heard and seen Alan Tremanting making what is supposed to be the focal point of his promise to the delegates. This is internal politics. So that is his promise to the delegates. We'll be looking at the various promises that the flag bearer aspirants have been making and who has been convincing the delegates most and who is likely to come up tops at the end of the day. But most importantly, I am looking out to see the surprise that was promised us after the special delegates conference that trimmed down the number from 7 to 5, and now we know 2 have, thrown in the towel. Joe Gate, lawyer, he threw in the towel, and he put his weight behind Nana Akufo-Addo. He's endorsed this candidature. Also, you have, what is his name again? I'm forgetting his name. The MP, Osei Asare, yes, who also, backed Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. Once again, good morning and welcome to the show. Now, this is a very special morning to the NPP.
Well, it is. I mean, it's important that we let the people of Ghana know what we have been through as a political party. Right. First and foremost, the national constitution dictates to all political parties that we should perform internal democracy properly. Right. And we are doing that. I think ours is the most elaborate. We have had elections in 26,000 polling stations. That's why we have 5-man executives in these polling stations. We have had elections in more than 6,000 electoral areas. You add that to 275 constituency elections, and then the 10 regional elections, and then the very successful conference we had in Tamale that put the new executive in place, and the fact that the one you just mentioned, the August 31st special voting day that happened. So today is the last leg of our internal processes. This just goes to show you that we are the party most prepared to govern. Not even the party in government has come remotely close. In this battle
you do pride yourself as the party in African politics that has such a wide, delegate conference to elect its flag bearer.
Quite recently, when I was in the UK attending a Conservative Party conference, and I met a colleague from Jamaica and another colleague from St. Lucia, and he was asking me how many members of our party are voting. I said 141,000, and he said that is the population of his country. So it goes to tell you there is no doubt at all about that, and it's a fact. It's not something that we are just priding ourselves with. It's a fact that it was the view of many that we should open up. At that time, I wasn't quite in support of it, to be honest with you, because it's a very expensive exercise. But that is what the majority said, and we all have to respect the majority's view.
Great.
So the fact that today is a significant day, we consider it a significant step towards 2016. And we expect all party loyalists, patriots, to see it as such. And so therefore, in the course of this exercise, we don't want anybody to conduct themselves in a way to bring the party's name into disrepute. That they should recognize that as an NPP member, a patriot of our party, your primary allegiance has to be to the party, the Osno party. And we believe in the supremacy of our party.
Great.
And that's right. So.
We've just had Abdul Malik Wekubako Jr. join us. Thank you very much for joining us, Abdul Malik.
Thank you,
very first time you're getting late for this show.
Well, I was within the vicinity.
Okay. Okay. Very unusual, though.
That's right.
Thank you very much indeed. And again, you and Paula Foko, the national chairman, have promised to deliver the NPP power in 2016. So you want to police this process in such a way that you come out fortified and strong enough to be able to wrestle power.
A little correction, not myself and Paula Foko, the national executive.
Okay.
The team, the new team that is in place, that was elected in Tamale, is a team of 9. And,
don't mind, anytime I mention you or Paula Foko, I'm talking about the team.
Thank you very much for the correction. So yes, we need to deliver the victory. It's very essential, not only to NPP, but to Ghanaians. I think the record of the ruling government over the last 5.5 to 6 years is clear testimony that we are on a redemption mission. We have to work hard to generate the confidence and the trust that Ghanaians need to give us their vote on the day so that we can recapture power and then put the country back on the right track. Ghanaians are living witnesses to the successes and the modest achievements of the Kufuor administration between 2001 and 2009. And even in the international community, the sovereign ratings that we had, the confidence that we had, the banking sector where banks were chasing businesses to grant them loans, and many things. Our insurance scheme was introduced. By now, you would have expected that the NDC government would have built on that and made it even far more efficient and accessible to the people of Ghana. That hasn't happened. And you can see that we have really retrogressed. Okay, we have really retrogressed. So it is incumbent on us, and Ghanaians are looking up to our party, and we cannot afford to disappoint them.
Look at the larger picture.
So as a national executive, our vision is to build a strong party structure at the base. We believe that all politics is local.
We'll find out very soon if you're able to build a very strong party at the base, as you say, in the midst of all the bickering and all of the, division. Very vicious stuff that we have seen in the lead up to today. I know that you may attempt to deny them, but Ghanaian people have been watching. They've been seeing the things that have been going on. I want you to narrow down on this morning, this afternoon, before we get to Ifwa Sutherland sometime in the afternoons, Ifwa Sutherland Park, to have a declaration.
Yes. Well, right now, all the delegates, around 130,000, 140,000.
Some have already started voting?
Yes, I have voted.
Okay.
At the party headquarters before I came here. And I've been getting quite a number of reports. I've passed through 1 or 2 polling stations. I didn't have to stop much to just look. Everything is calm so far. I think excepting perhaps a Cropon, a little issue there, and then Woolency in the northern region. I suspect there was a little confusion over the register that was presented to the Electoral Commission. But we have a situation room at the party headquarters where those who we asked to serve on the Elections Committee are there. They will resolve these matters, which will be reported to me as soon as practicable, so that we can communicate with the headquarters of the Electoral Commission, who will then issue instructions to the people on the ground. Because the guidelines were very clear.
In a situation where people just can't find their names in the register, what happens?
Well, I think that I haven't had a situation. Well, in those situations, we have to find out why. We have to find out why. Unless the wrong...
one such report this morning, and the officer in charge of that constituency polling station, he's somewhere in Accra here, confirms that they detected about a day ago or so that these delegates, who are known to be delegates, can't find their names in the register.
Well, sometimes it happens. When you're dealing with numbers, this might happen. But there's a process that you can go through.
Okay.
Because these registers were generated from the constituencies, brought to the IT department of the party.
Right.
The guys there worked day and night. I mean, some didn't sleep for the last few days, just to make sure the right information was captured and sent to the Electoral Commission in time for it to reach their destinations. In case there are issues like that. We have a constituency elections committee headed by the Council of Elders, 1 senior woman of the constituency, and 1 member of the constituency executive. They are supposed to liaise or collaborate with the presiding officer. This election is being conducted under the Public Elections Regulations.
Right.
And so therefore, we have given control of the conduct of the process to the presiding officer, and their decision will be final. But if there are issues of identification, people not, then the elections committee would have to advise.
So the rules of general elections
in application,
pertain to our laws are enforced.
Enforced, yes.
If you violate them, you suffer the sanction.
Well, I mean, the presiding officer has the authority to do certain things.
Okay.
So we advised all our party people just to go according to the rules. The rules are fairly simple.
Right.
You go through the identification procedures. They may choose to vote in clusters of polling stations. One, they know themselves. I was just speaking to 1 constituency in the north, a little discrepancy, but the 5 executives know themselves. Unfortunately, I think one of them didn't have their picture in the album, but the name is there. But once you provide a party ID card that shows the same name and your face, and the presiding officer is convinced that you are the person, and then he can fall on the other members of the polling station to confirm that you are indeed a member of that polling station executive. I do think that they will use their discretion. They are fairly experienced in these matters to carry out.
One first thing I would want you to help us to clarify before we even continue, I get to my guest on the show so that we continue with the discussion, is the protection of the secrecy of the ballot.
That's right. I know Kwekubako is here. Article 49 of the Constitution is very clear that any public election, the voting has to be conducted by secret ballot. Indeed, I've had time and again to explain that if we wanted to know who you were voting for. We would have provided 3 different ballot boxes with their names stuck on them, and then everybody will line behind them. But that is not what the Constitution of Ghana says, and again, the Constitution of the NPP. You know, so yes, anybody who attempts to show the direction that he's voted, and it comes to the notice of the presiding officer, they have the authority to prevent you from putting that ballot in the box, and it will be considered as a rejected ballot.
Interesting. Kweku, sorry, but I'd like to start with you on that note, because at the last, the August exercise, 30 exercise, we realized that this became a very topical issue, including even party, very responsible people in the party voting and showing their votes, that this is the person I voted for. In the rules that they gave out, they said that voters who display the candidate of their choice at the polling station after marking the ballot paper will have their votes nullified. And they refer us to Article 49 of the Constitution about secret balloting. You certainly understand why they put some premium emphasis on this, right?
Yes, and I recall the last time we discussed it, we came to a consensus that it wasn't a good practice, even though it wasn't widespread, and that must be put in context. To about 3 or 4. Yes, so it wasn't really, but it was a bad practice, and if you don't checkmate it, it might grow into something else. I think that it's good that they've indicated here that it's not something that ought not to be done, and that you risk getting your vote nullified. I don't think there should be any contest over this. It's an order. Look, and indeed, at that period when you are voting, and voting hasn't ended, so doing constitutes a form of campaigning, which is also not in consonance with the law, electoral laws.
In fact, so, in the do's and don'ts, the very first item is there shall be no campaigning at the polling station on election day.
That's right. And it's so even on the national level, you know, so I think that this is a matter of asking everybody to be responsible. Okay, what's the big deal? Why do you want to advertise that? For what purpose? I think it's crude and cheap. So it's good it's been curtailed.
Okay, how do you start off on this discussion? What are your expectations?
Oh, I think it will end successfully, peacefully, non-violent. That's been their character. They have rough edges. They've had about 2 polling station elections, as Kodra indicated, through the regional to the national. Overall, I think you can give them about 95%. Sometimes some of the incidents were not election specific or related, but arising out of those contests and all those. So I think they've done quite well. I'm not too sure if it's the only political party, though, on the African continent that does that. I think the ANC has a similar format, if not a bigger one. But whatever it is, in Ghana's context, and to a large extent in many parts of Africa, is a significant development.
And the ANC may have a bigger one because of its the
size and the country and the way it is structured. So that, but it's unique. Let nobody underestimate the decision to expand their electoral. Is the ownership. They were giving ownership of the party to the grassroots. That's a very unique thing, I think, all political parties. We were so when we began as CPP in the old days. But today we're not.
We'll look at the other implications of that, because it comes at a cost, and we have heard a few issues about
democracy is expensive, but ownership of the party by the masses is the best thing, the best cure for any mischief that you can dream of. So don't look at it in terms of its monetary value. Forget it. The value is inestimable. It goes beyond monetary terms.
But so you don't say forget it just like that, especially to an opposition party that needs all the money it can get.
Fortunately, they are a very resourceful party. They were in opposition for many years. They were able to mobilize logistics and resources to eject an incumbent regime that had been there for almost 18 years. Don't underestimate them. So they have the resources, they have the financial muscle, but they will be challenged occasionally. Why not? Even the country is challenged in terms of our economy. So I think they have the capacity to mobilize the requisite resources to deal with any challenge that confronts them. And the expansion is more than money. For me, that's the key.
And frankly, Kweku, just to support what you've just said, I think it's not as expensive as people make it seem. For a country as big the size of Ghana and the party as big as the NPP. The fact of the matter is we are looking at principle. The essential elements have been taken care of.
Okay, so you just hold on briefly for me. Let me go to the party headquarters where you have a polling station there. Just take it easy. Afre Kwachi Nyama of Joy FM is there, and he has some report for us about some disagreement over proxy votes. Afre, what can you report?
Well, Francis, an executive of the China branch of NPP, Dr. Charles Jamina, had difficulty, going through the process. In the first place, before you qualify to vote as proxy, you must be a delegate yourself. And when he came here, he realized that his name was not in the register as a delegate, but as a proxy voter. There was a bit of confusion there. A representative of Adainimo here prevented him from voting because he had difficulty with him going through the process. If you are not a delegate, how then was your name there as a proxy voter? I'll speak to the EC official later on how they plan resolving this matter. But the man who raised the protest mainly Adainimo's agent is here. I'll find out from him. What's your difficulty?
Thank you. My difficulty, I don't think there is a difficulty. The point is that before you vote, or before you qualify to even cast a vote for somebody as proxy, you must be a delegate. A gentleman smuggled himself in here and claimed to be voting for a proxy whilst he doesn't even have a vote as a delegate. And that is my difficulty. That is why I asked that he shouldn't be given the chance. Because his name is not in the register as a delegate, and for that matter, he's not even qualified to even vote for somebody as proxy.
Okay. Now, Afred, try and get the EC officials and tell us how exactly they intend to resolve that. Thank you very much.
Well, Dr. Charles Jamina is a non-member of the NPP, though.
Right.
A delegate from the China branch, as I indicated earlier on. The head of the EC team, Fred Tete, is here with me now. Just final from you, Mr. Tete, how do you plan resolving this matter?
Well, I think it's basically a typo error because by principle, according to the guidelines, before you become a proxy, you should be a delegate.
That's right.
Okay? And in this case, Dr. Charles Jamina, okay, he is claiming that he's a delegate. Yes, somebody, another doctor in China has nominated him to be his proxy, to vote for him. Okay? But his name as Charles Jamina must stand in the register alone for him to vote for himself first and then vote for Charles Alex Amponza. So that's the problem. You see, the way the album has been done for him in particular. So far, we've had people like the Bracons and those things. Their names are standing alone, and then they are voting for somebody also from Germany or other places under them as proxy.
So how do you intend dealing with this matter now?
Well, like I said from the beginning, I think is a problem of the generation of the register, and I think we're trying to get in touch with the national, what they call it, election committee, and basically because that means the register is effective.
Okay.
In that respect.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Thank you for that. But I find this appears to be very simple, right?
That's why I may not be here for all your program.
Right.
I have to be back at the headquarters because it's fairly simple and straightforward. And I'm surprised that elections officer, he's very clear. If he is not a voter, he cannot be a proxy. I mean, that is clear.
That's the premise.
Yeah,
you have to be a delegate.
Yes. So, but I'm surprised because I thought he was a delegate. I thought he himself was a delegate. Right. He has voted before for the branch in China. So I don't know whether this time they didn't select him as a delegate. The branch did not select him. I don't know. But the situation room is there.
The EC official seems to believe that this is just a typo.
Well, it shouldn't be the case. He should consult the...
Right. He said so.
Yeah, he said so.
He said so.
But the laws are very clear.
Committee.
If you are not a voter, you can't vote as a proxy.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That was our reporter there at the headquarters of the NPP. That is Kwachi Afre Nyama. Now, you were making the point before I interrupted, before I come to him. You were talking about your expectations today. You say you expect it to be smooth, peaceful, and without any, incident to report.
Yes, that's my overall verdict.
Okay.
Even before it ends.
Okay.
I'm too sure about that. as for some of these incidents, they would happen. But you look at it, it's not a big deal at all.
I see. Doc. Yeah, thank you so much, and then thanks to the listeners. And these issues that we discuss, and I would like to look at it from, let's say, two large perspectives, especially with regards to NPP's decision to expand, the base of those who are going to take decisions regarding who represents the party. And if you look at it, principle-wise, you will have, when you're talking about elections and giving people mandate, you look at two broad approaches. Either you're looking at a popular election or you're looking at a delegate election. The delegate election is based on a principle that people that have been given the chance to vote in a delegate election have themselves been given the mandate by a broader base. Yeah. So for instance, in the particular case of political party elections, you see that constituency executives have been elected by branch executives. And at the branch level, every party member is a delegate. So you realize that the representation and the mandate given to a constituency executive is a delegated mandate that they have obtained from the branch. And by principle, that is perfectly all right to ensure that all party members have their right to say in choosing whoever represents. At the delegate election, it is not about the size of the delegates to determine whether you've given the people the opportunity or you've given the ownership of the party to a larger majority or to almost everybody in the party. The principle is based on who has given that mandate. That is why they call it delegate. You have been delegated to perform a particular function. And that delegate's power has to be emanated from a particular source, which is largely the overall membership of the party. So the branch gives the executives the authority to go and vote a particular, let's say national executives. And by doing so, it is understood that the entire membership of the party is what is taking the decision. Now, you realize that the attempt of the New Patriotic Party to expand is really, in my opinion, and in the opinion of those who understand delegate elections and then popular elections, is confusing, largely. Because you would notice that I don't understand really what they want to put ahead. Because their first approach was clear, and it was based on the fact that branch executives had given constituency executives the authority to go and elect national executives. Now, they've given that same power that the branch executives had given to constituency executives, more or less reversed. And you realize that in trying to analyze it within the framework of delegate election, you get confused. You would think that they may not even believe in that principle of delegating authority or delegating mandates to a fewer people to vote. Most of these things are done for various reasons. Number one, cost is a major factor when they decide to ensure that they do delegate elections. Number two, management, how you manage the population, how you manage expectations, how you manage outcomes are also one of the reasons why we choose to go delegate rather than popular elections. So they would have to come clear whether they are going popular or they are going delegate. And in going delegate, it has to go in accordance with the basic principle of delegation of authority or mandate to a particular executive or a particular personality to exercise that particular responsibility. That is one thing I would like to talk about.
Okay.
The second point I would like to talk about regarding political party and political party protection of interest. If you was talking about the NDC having probably not performed, and it is now incumbent on the NPP to come as a united party to be able to redeem, as it were, the state of the nation. And I would, I don't really look at it in that perspective. I normally look at these things in terms of the various interests that political parties are created to protect. So you realize in his discussion, he went for a meeting in the UK, and
the ultimate purpose.
Can I just develop my point? Yeah, can I just develop my point?
But I'm moderating, so take it easy. Wait. The ultimate, purpose is state power for development. Yeah, that's what the parties will tell you.
The point is that the state power for development and to protect a particular interest. You see, political parties are not like football teams where you just form them to come and play football and score. You are formed on the principle of a protection of an interest. You come together to protect an interest that you believe in. And like he was making a point, the Conservative Party is formed to protect a particular interest of a particular class group. And you see that their alignment and their kind of interaction with them is suggesting, and as we know of a fact, that the NPP as a tradition was formed to protect the interests of an elite group, whereas the CPP then was to protect the interests of the common man. Now, as time went on, the CPP, Kokobaku would give us the reasons why they were not able to survive. But another tradition emerged, and it more or less came in to protect that same interest of the common man. And now you have two main political traditions existing in the country. And you can find that in every other country. So how do you
situate?
So what I'm saying is that...
Wait, let me ask this question. How do you situate the introduction of pro-poor programs by the NPP within your definition of the NPP's goal?
Yeah, for every particular program, and even if you look at even the pure capitalist, institutions.
No, specific. I want you to speak to, for example, the introduction of LEAP, giving cash, handing cash to the poor, the introduction of the NHIS, the introduction of the capitation. Those issues. See, how do you situate it within your definition of what the NPP represents?
That's right. Yeah, you see, most of these things, they are survival programs. People must live before even you can exploit them, if you want to use the word. So these are basic things that every political institution, whether you are established to protect a particular interest or the other, you must do these things because people must survive.
Okay.
But as they survive,
just hold on for me.
The large support base.
Just hold on for me there. You're here on Newsfile on Joy 99.7 FM, on Love FM in Kumasi, over a dozen affiliate stations across the country. We are live on Multi-TV. This is your Joy News channel. If you're watching us in London or elsewhere in Europe, this is your Sky channel on the ABN television. And we've just been joined also by Abraham Amaliba, who is a legal practitioner and with the NDC legal team. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir. Good morning, Samson. Right. Now let's go to Menchia North, is it? And we have Erastus Saridonko of Love FM on the line. Erastus, what can you report from which constituency or polling station you are?
Yeah, Samson, I'm right now at the Menchia North constituency, precisely Yenya also Presi, where they are holding the election. Now, a short while ago, some confusion broke, and one journalist was manhandled, and two people who are NPP supporters, I learned, were driven away by the crowd. The whole confusion started when the two, one Anthony Ameyao and Frederick, they were former executives of the Menchia constituency. I learned there was some disagreements. They were expelled from the party at that level. They came to the place and Metro TV granted them an interview. Now, this infuriated the crowd so much that they claimed they are not members of the party, they cannot be there, and so they started chasing them out of the place. The police, one policeman joined in and tried to whisk the guy away. Now, whilst he was going, the SFM reporter, Shaibu Mohammed, tried to interview him, and they all pounced on him, hitting him from the back and manhandling him. So he had to be escorted to his car by the police authorities there, and that's what happened there.
So you're saying there's no arrest because nothing wrong has happened?
In fact, there is no arrest. Even the number of policemen were still inside the building where the elections were taking place, and the crowd were being, in a way, controlled by the delegates themselves. And so, as and when he was trying to leave, there were people who were even trying to beat him up still.
I see. So you say, where is he now? Everything is calm now. Is that the case?
Yeah, currently he had to quickly be escorted to his car, and he had to flee the scene. And the two men were also whisked away by some unknown sympathizers before calm was restored.
Thank you, Erastus. But Kobna, it is your expectation that when clear infractions of the law, as alleged, occur, that's why the police is there?
That's right. That's right. In fact, we've been in discussions with the police to make sure Unfortunately, Menchia North is one of the 3 constituencies in Ashanti that have legal issues. That there has been some form of arbitration for this process to go through, and we will revisit the matter later on. But I'm surprised that the protagonists decided to go there and create, because I do believe their names are not on the register. There was no need to be there and create, and then also there's no need for anybody to take the law into their own hands,
right,
and do so. So it's unfortunate. We would investigate and find out exactly what has gone on. But I was going to respond to my friend Dr. Zakaria. I'm very disappointed in the academic framework he was putting across. To tell us, you are not a member of the NPP, you have never been a part of our tradition, and then you can tell us that our tradition was formed to protect an elite. I think that, you see, people have to be fair, and what you are not part of, please don't pass comments like that. The fact that we have relations with parties around the world who believe in a certain philosophy does not mean that we are there to protect an elite. This is old, washed up, communist ideology that we don't want to hear in contemporary politics. It's totally unnecessary, and I'm happy that you asked him those questions that he could not properly answer. Our party believes in protecting the Ghanaian, and our record in government, whether it is during Dr. Buzia's time or during Mr. Kufuor, is there for everybody to see. And so I think it's totally erroneous for him to create the impression that the NPP was formed to protect an elite. Who are the elite in Ghana anyway? Is he not elite? One with a PhD? Who are the elite? You should identify the elite for us.
There are those who may agree with him to suggest that you have not lived out your development in freedom, property owning, democracy. You've not actually lived it out. There are those who may suggest that.
I think maybe you don't understand what J.B. Dankwa said. We want to protect individual rights. We don't believe in nationalizing people's factories when they have, through their own sweat, created their own property. That's what we're talking about. It doesn't mean that we are... Where is the elite in Ghana anyway? Who are the elite?
So, for instance, you see, when you talk about property, what fraction of the population that has the capacity to own property?
What property are you talking about? Every Ghanaian has a piece of land, and it's
not
property.
Every Ghanaian. That, in fact,
every family has land.
When you look at approaches that are targeting at mass, effect, and you look at individual property right protection, you see that you cannot be seen to be protecting both rights at the same time. And like I was saying, I was just building a point based on what is known. And the fact is clear that political parties are established to protect various interests. And you must identify your interests to be able to be relevant within the space that political parties engage in. So if you come in and you do not have a clear definition of the interest that you are protecting, then...
Which party do you belong to?
No,
I'm asking you.
No, you see,
because I want to know what is the point.
It's not
the point because we need to. If you don't belong to a party, then you cannot know.
If you even look at the historical evidence that exists, when the UGCC was formed and they had to split, and when they split between the UP and then the CPP, you saw the directions things went. The Veranda Boys concept were developed as a result of the belief that the CPP was working for that particular group of people. And at that time, the membership, in fact, you can look at the J.B. Dankwes, you can look at the Kebuzias. These were academics, these were lawyers,
like yourself.
These were people who believed in a particular approach in protecting individual elite class interest.
Okay. Because they were academics, like yourself.
Not necessarily.
You are an academic.
But you would
do you
notice
believe
that,
in protecting?
You notice that
you are the elite of society.
The whole even what do you call it? Terminology of the Veranda Boys.
Do you know the background of Buzia?
Maybe
you should go and tell yourself in the history. Yes, a poor person from Wenchi who was taken care of by the veterans, and then you talk about elitism.
Let me tell you this. My job here is to properly focus the discussion here this morning. Our focus is about what the party is doing today, and afterwards, how we see their strength going into the 2016 elections. So I just want to put that one out so that we don't unnecessarily go back to the history of which one is protecting whose rights. Abraham, I'm sure that, you know, as a member of the NDC, you have a goodwill message for the NPP today.
Why not? They are our cousins, and we will need a strong opposition to keep us on our toes. They are at a crossroad, I must say, and their ability to clear this hurdle, for me, will be important to them. But beyond this hurdle, there's a bigger challenge ahead of them, and that has to do with uniting the party. I'm sure that, for me, is more Herculean than even what they are doing. They are going into the elections on the basis of trying to provide leadership. Now, there is, for me, a deep-seated crack in the NPP. They don't look like a party that is ready for power. I heard my good friend Kobna Japan indicate, you know, the last time I met Kobna Japan was at a Goil filling station. That was before his sad event. I thank,
you remember
I thank God
and
for
I thank you for the support you gave me that.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention that I gave you support. It has come from you.
Right.
So the bigger picture has to do with how would they be able to unite the party. In the lead up to today, you would realize the mudslinging. You will realize the allegations, counter allegations, one of which my good friend Kukubako was at the crossfire position. This does not actually indicate a party that is ready to govern. It is not enough, and I've always said that. It's not enough.
It doesn't happen in the NDC, and it's not happening right now. As
the NDC went into the elections that captured power as a solid group. That's what I'm talking about.
You haven't answered my question.
Mm-hmm.
The allegations of factions and mudslinging, they don't happen in the NDC. They are not happening right now as the party prepares for its national executive elections.
Are we talking about a peculiar situation in which NPP finds itself now? And so it's not fair. If you want to make the comparisons, compare apples to apples. When we were in opposition, is that the nature of our party as we find it today?
Okay, just hold on. I wanted you to answer directly.
I can't answer directly when the question is unfair.
If you answered a no, I was going to provide you.
It's not fair.
A litany of some of the things that have been going on.
Just hold on. Is having
let's go on the line and speak to Francis Adainimo. Is that correct? Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Newsfile, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Samson, and how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm sure you are in high spirits. What are your expectations?
Well, very well. I also share the same view with you. And first of all, let me send my warm greetings to your panel for discussing this morning and through your platform to all Ghanaians who are listening to you. Well, I'm currently in my constituency, Mampong, because I'm also a delegate in this constituency as a sitting member of parliament. I've been here this morning and voting is ongoing smoothly, and I have had the opportunity to also cast my vote. So what I'm seeing here is a lively environment, a smooth environment, friendly environment, and I do hope that it shall be the same situation in all the 275 constituencies nationwide.
So you just finished voting. I suspect that you would have voted for yourself, but what are expectations in the end?
Well, very, very positive. Well, the delegates will decide. Something I need to make this statement to you and to your listeners and viewers as well. This is the selection of the flag bearer of our party.
Right.
And we are doing this selection through a competitive election. So at the end, we will have one person who will be selected to lead the party to the 2016 general election. And then we'll have two others who will not be selected. So in my view, it will not be the question about who won and who lost. It will be the question about who has been selected and who has not been selected.
Right, but what do you say to some of your critics who say that you're just trying to make a showing and prepare the way for a future, contest, and not seeking to win the primaries this year?
Well, certainly I disagree with those critics. They know that I've started the process since 2006 when I picked my form, paid my required nomination fee of 85,000 Ghana cedis, went through the special electoral college election or the superdelegate election, and thereafter I stood my ground and I said I'll still pursue the vision that I have for this, for our party and for our nation. So anybody who assumes that Francis Adenimo is just in to market himself or just to showcase himself to Ghanaians, I disagree with that person. I can tell you that in my constituency visits that I have made in this country, I have been overwhelmingly received by members of our party and non-members of our party. That has been refreshing and encouraging to me.
There are those who say that to show a sign that you're a good leader, you ought to be able to listen. And it appears you're not listening to the masses on the ground. As far as the delegates are concerned, they are speaking one language, either Nana or Alan. You haven't heard that?
Something I disagree with you. I disagree certainly with you. We also need to provide a new face, a new force, a new direction also to the party. So it is not a question of Mr. A or Mr. B. It is the ability to endear yourself to the delegates, for them to assess you, have the confidence in you that yes, you possess the leadership qualities that they can trust you and give you the mandate to lead the party to victory in 2016. So I completely disagree that anybody is being stubborn, no, I completely disagree. I have had my conviction, and based on my conviction, I took the bold, courageous decision to pursue this vision of mine. Okay. And I believe that I'm on course in whatever I'm doing.
You can't tell me that you expect to win today.
Why can't I tell you? I do expect to be selected today. You will never know. You can't give that prediction. Let us wait and see at the close of the polls 3 p.m. and when the counting is completed and the declaration has been made.
So where are you going after voting?
Well, currently I'm in my constituency, Mampong, and I'll do some interaction around, and I'll attempt to go to some other constituencies to find how voting has been going.
I suppose the interaction is not campaigning, because campaigning is banned. All right, okay.
Well, there are various forms of campaigning. I
see. Are you providing food and drinks to the delegates?
No, it is the responsibility of the party to do so.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And I actually asked him that question, whether he was providing food and drinks to the delegates, because I understand that the elections are being conducted under the national laws of this country. And by the laws of this country, providing food and drinks that's supposed to entice people to influence their votes is an offense of what the law calls treating. And it is punishable by law in Ghana. In fact, the results could be cancelled in your favor, against you, and you could risk the opportunity of not being able to stand for elections for 5 years.
So
can you finish that point?
Yeah, so when you compare us, when we were in opposition to what is happening now, we approached the election as one monolithic group of people. What is happening now doesn't seem so, and I'm fearing for them in the near future. My good friend here, some few days ago, was caged, virtually. You saw cutlasses flying, and then you saw bloodletting. And so when you put all these things together, this is a party that has a hurdle to clear after this crossroad. So my point is simply that, yes, they will succeed today, but there's a much bigger hurdle for them when they finish this exercise.
Okay, because you have the benefit of experience, that even after Koforidua, you were still able to work your way out, right?
You see, we are now, what I'm doing here now is talking about deep-seated cracks. My choice of words. No, why? I'm saying that deep-seated cracks are in this party. In every party, there are factions. People gravitate towards other people. So that is allowed. But where it goes to the extent of attacking personalities and are fighting. You don't see them coming out as one group. And I'm just saying that I'm sounding a note of warning. They should look ahead to that and begin to look at how to solve it. That's my warning to them.
Okay. It's so uncomfortable when you don't want to be frank and honest with the facts, you know, because you're talking about deep-seated cracks. You had a whole chairman who had to leave the party and form another party when you were in opposition. So please, I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. You know what you are going through as a political party. And we are saying, as we speak, this is the last leg of our internal elections. You are nowhere near where we have reached. So you can... Yeah, but you can... let me finish what I'm saying. You can go ahead, try to exacerbate what has happened and say that I was caged and that if I was caged, I'm here. I have been let free now. Well, I'm here.
Yeah, it actually goes to support Amalabe's point, because when they had the problems in Koforidua, it's like the next election, they were not victorious, were they? They won. Yeah, they did. No, after Koforidua, they didn't win.
Koforidua was 2006.
They won 2008.
They won 2008. No, get your facts right. Koforidua was 2006.
Right.
Yeah. Which one?
Right. So, in any case, I mean, you can deny what is your fact. We know that, as you said, and I am uncomfortable with some of the things that have been said during the campaign, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Know that as party people, things have gone wrong, and we'll try to bring it back on track. You can sit here and say that it's all rosy because you are in government. We can't compare with you. You can only compare when you are both in opposition. That, for me, is a very interesting and an amusing statement to make. So I believe, as a political party, today we go through this process. There may be one or two hiccups, as we've had, but we are proud that we've gotten to this stage, and we hope that the party will elect a leader, will make the declaration, and then we'll move on as a political party. It's what we do after this that will determine the mark of our party.
Am I not warning you of that?
Well,
are you denying the fact that...
We are warning ourselves.
Are you denying the fact that there are divisions in your party?
I have not denied
so,
that. So,
good. So if you are not denying that, why are you then disputing the fact that when you go to the next stage, that is after this, one of the biggest challenge for you is to how to bring your party together? Okay. That's all that I said.
I'm just saying that with your case, your party chairman even decamped. So those cracks were deeper than ours. So don't say deep as if you haven't seen deeper cracks. We believe we will patch this party
if
together.
Your mother is dead and you say he's asleep, when it's time to eat, you will see.
It's a tired old,
yes.
It's a tired old statement we've all said.
So your views and comments are welcome here. And please forgive me when I give a bit of much focus to Kwabena, because he cannot stay here for all the program. So we need to get all we can get out of him before he leaves here. Now, I'm referring you to the Representation of the People's Law, and that law says in section 34, it says that there's this offense called treating. A person commits an election offense of treating when a person corruptly pays wholly or in part the expenses of giving or providing meat. I mean meat. Providing meat, drink, entertainment, or provision to or for any person or group of persons for the purposes of influencing voting by that person, or on account of that person having voted in a particular way. And their sanctions are a fine not exceeding 500 penalty unit. A penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis. Imprisonment not exceeding 2 years. So you could get this or get both fine and imprisonment, and 5 years disqualification from contesting elections. So those of you who are providing food, since this is being conducted under the national elections rules, you have to be careful how that is conducted. I want us to now move on to this point of the process today. Kweku, again, when we are on the ground and the processes are going on, there are things that happen and the media will report about them. There are those who say when they happen, we need to, take a step back, be careful how we report them, because sometimes the reportage will not reflect what exactly the situation is, because there are tensions, people's emotions are high at this time. What would be your word to journalists who are working this morning on the election coverage?
Well, it isn't what Kweku Baku tells them that is important. It's what our code of ethics says, and NMC's print media guidelines say that is more important. And we are always told to make sure that what we put out there is accurate, precise, and things that cannot unleash emotions, especially when it comes to election reporting and you are on the ground, in the field. It comes back, sometimes you are not taught this in the classroom, apart from the code of ethics and the print media guidelines, you know, giving you the direction. You need to have a certain instinct, you know, certain on-the-spot appreciation of the environment in which you are, especially when it comes to election reporting. There's no textbook out there that can tell you the ABC to Z. So you look at the environment. For instance, this report you were just given. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I have an attitude of not doing ethical review of the practice of fellow practitioners. Is a principle. But if I were in that situation and I looked at the tension, I would not want to interview any of the target elements in the same environment. I'll find a way of doing that interview outside that vicinity.
Which one are you referring to, the NPP headquarters where Dr.
No, the one where the journalist was assaulted.
Okay.
And indeed,
right.
I put in mind, I asked for that, it's non-negotiable. If you assault any of us, it's a criminal offense. And I'm praying that the police, as we speak, would have identified those who did the physical thing and arrest. Okay. But I am saying that sometimes some of these things, it comes to you, the journalist yourself in the field, how you deal with the situation that confronts you. And if there is some agitation and within the same vicinity you decide to conduct, and you know, people are listening these days with their telephones.
Right.
The interviews they'll hear, even those very close by, they hear. The guys are defending themselves, are saying things that provoke the other side. Obviously, you make yourself, even if unintended, a target. So I would not, my advice to them is to, be discreet in how they go about some of the reportage. There's only one thing in the guidelines that I saw, and I had a running debate with one of the election committee members. There's a point that journalists or media houses should not declare but we have never purported to declare elections. So I thought that was superfluous. What we've been doing is to call election results. We don't declare.
Right.
And indeed, once upon a time, the NPP itself called an election. They did not declare. You understand? So everybody knows that what we do is call it, and I'm not sure that can be negotiated away.
No, not at all.
So
I don't think
I thought that was a bit of a superfluous element, because the word declare that was used gives the impression that we have purported to declare when we haven't ever done that.
Okay.
I think we've added in there that it should be provisional result.
Yes.
Yeah, but every time we call, it is not the final result, actually. We just call. It's only the EC that is empowered to so declare.
So that thing should have.
I think it shouldn't.
In their guidelines, they say only the Electoral Commission of Ghana shall declare certified results of the election.
That's in order.
Right. For you yourself, what is your expectation of
the protest? This place is too hot today.
Yes, I'm calling on the technical team to ensure that the air conditions are.
You don't need to put that
functioning
properly. No, we are sweating. I'm sweating.
Yes, I am. You are not sweating. What is your expectation of how the reportage should be conducted?
Well, normal. I mean, we are all human beings. We are prone to errors. The reason why we're saying this is sometimes people sit at home and then they compute the figures on the radio. And the journalist can also make a mistake.
Sure.
Just recording. And that's why we said that they should make it provisional and let the Electoral Commission compute the actuals. And that's all. So we expect them to be everywhere and cover it. It's important. It's also part of the transparency. So we are counting on the media to report accurately. And just the word provisional, just that word provisional is enough.
But Samson, you read a provision titled treating, is that it?
That's correct.
Yes, and I was wondering whether you would want to connect it to the stories we heard about Nana Akufo-Addo trying to pay for the services, therefore the conduct of these elections. He is here. What is the situation? Would that amount to treaty?
And what is important is, I refer to the provision on the basis that the party says the elections are being run under the national election laws. Yes. Okay, so you're referring to what Nana Akufo-Addo may have been reported to have done?
Yes.
Giving 600,000 to support because they don't have money?
Whether that will amount to treating under the law.
And also, is it a Lanchaman thing also promising the delegates bicycles or cycles? Is that it?
I don't know whether this law is talking about on the day of the elections or at the election scene or trying to help in the process of conducting this election.
You are a lawyer.
Anything you do that suggests that you are
influence. So let's see whether we can situate this within the context of the. So he can tell us.
Let me set the record.
Educate us on the law first.
Let me set the record. Let me set the record straight. The party has no custody of any check or any money from any aspirant. And I've known Nana for a very long time. I know he's a very generous person. And it may be that he intends to help or has helped or has given money to people to send it to us. Maybe he has to check with the people he's given monies to. We have not got custody of anything of that sort. I want that to be very clear. At steering committee, we said the candidates are overburdened already. They've paid 85,000. They've gone around the country. It's a lot of financial pressure. So we didn't deem it fit to go and load them with extra financial pressure. I know with the previous executives in 2010, they went back to the aspirants, and then Nana Akufo-Addo and Alan Chiramatin offered to pay 50,000 cedis each, which is 100,000, to support the process. We have said no. We felt that they are under pressure already. We will not do that. We will raise the money, and all the essentials have been covered. So I don't know where this falsehood is coming from. And I want to debunk it and let the world know that no such monies have been given to the party.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much. First of all, with the maltreatment of the journalists, I would like to first of all, sympathize with the journalists and journalists as in general for having been actually molested the way they have been at that particular occasion. I would also like to use this opportunity to condemn clearly those supporters of NPP who have decided to attack a journalist who is just, embarking on his or her professional duty as a journalist. Most of these things, the principle is that when somebody is hurt or when somebody is molested, we should resist the temptation of doing victim blaming, because this is the victim at this point in time. And there shouldn't be any circumstance under which we should try to blame the victim.
Because it doesn't happen here.
Nobody's
blamed them.
You don't even have the full facts of what has transpired.
Whatever
it's hearsay. We don't have
whatever that is transpired, to the extent that there is a report. No, I'm coming, Honorable. To the extent that there is
why are you so quick?
I'm just saying that to the extent that there is a report.
We are all sitting here.
Yes, and we've got a report.
It's not been verified by anybody.
We are discussing the report.
It's not been verified by anybody.
We are discussing the report. And
now you are condemning
I'm saying that the supporters who attacked the
panelists
journalists
have a sense of objectivity and fairness.
This is a report that has come in, and we are discussing the report.
We've appealed to the police
and that's right.
To locate, search, locate, apprehend.
Yes, and investigate.
Exactly.
And establish.
So what it means is that
without jumping the gun.
I'm coming. What it means is that at least there is a report of an attack on a journalist. The worst or the least we can do is to sympathize with the journalist in particular and the whole GJ for having suffered this particular attack, at least an alleged attack. Number two is to resist the temptation of doing victim blaming, like I said, and also to condemn in clear terms those who have done this attack. That's number one. Number two, regarding what lawyer was talking about the use of resources directly or indirectly to influence decisions that delegates are going to make. He's made it quite clear, and he said that the party had not received any funding from any candidate. For that matter, there's also a claim, authoritatively, that monies had been given to delegates. It is establishing that these monies were not passed through the party structures, and it was given directly to the delegates. It is clear the intention.
How do you know the delegates have received anything?
Have
you confirmed from delegates?
No, Sir John said so. Sir John said that they have actually given the money. He even said what you said, that they didn't give the money to the party executives. They gave it directly to the delegates.
I have been speaking to delegates around
something constituencies.
It is
and you know, it should be looked at seriously, because from the law you've read, the tendency that this thing infringes on that particular law is clear, and members of the NPP should look at it and see whether they would you know, seek the interpretation of the law courts regarding this particular action, and then see whether the various penalties that have been prescribed would be applied in this particular case. Seriously, I mean, it's a serious matter.
The last time I checked, across the political divide, when the parliamentary candidates, presidential and other aspirants, presidential aspirants and the rest, are on tour, meeting delegates and the rest, when they ask them to converge at a certain point to deal with them, they give them TNT.
That's not the kind of thing we're talking about. That's not the kind of thing we're talking about.
I think we should not believe
this is a law.
No, it's important.
A law.
It's important.
It's specific.
It's okay.
So don't be talking about things which are not
and
part
once
of the
again,
law.
once again, let's bear in mind my reference, my basis for the reference to the law. That if nothing at all, even if it does not apply to this particular election, it should give some guidance to how we conduct elections in this country. Kweku, can we now move to this point? We know the outcome of the special delegates, you know, conference. Do you expect anything different as far as these three candidates are concerned?
I'm sure this question will not be posed to Koreja.
No, I won't.
No. It will be inappropriate.
Thank you for the intervention.
It will be inappropriate.
Why are you protecting him?
No, but because it will be inappropriate. I don't see much difference in terms of trend analysis. As I indicated the last time, party formation, structure, and organization, it has its own psychology. It has its own dynamic. Those who voted 31st, though, are not, in terms of numbers, that much representative, you know, because we are looking at here 700 and something as against 140 something. It was within that context that I thought those who wanted to continue the competition had every right to do so, and I voted for that principle. But because of party formation, structure and organization, the psychology that comes with it, those in the 745 or so also have a certain effect. They have a certain relationship with those within the wider context. And I believe that influential element will come to play. And listening, I haven't gone to the field as such, I have to be honest with you, but I've been monitoring the media and other discussions, people who have been talking. I would be very, very, very surprised if Nana Akufo-Addo does not win. And you indicated in your introduction that that would be the news.
Right.
If he doesn't win, it is news. So if he wins, it is to be expected. I think he's going to win. The question is the margin. 2007 is history because the contest was different, the format. 2010 was the first time they applied the expanded college. And I think there were about 105 then, 105,000 or so. And today they are about 140 something thousand. I think it is obvious that Akufo-Addo would win. The important thing is post that verdict, what the party does to itself, what Akufo-Addo himself does to make sure that there is cohesion and coherence of thought. That for me is the main thing. But winning, I would be really, really devastated and shocked if it doesn't happen. I'll be shocked.
I see.
Yes.
Amalwa, as he tried to refer to, in 2007, you had a total of 2,293 delegates. Out of that number, Nanado got 1,096 of the votes, which represented 47.96%, to beat Alan Shermanting, who got 738 votes, representing 32.3% of the total votes that was cast then. He simply, on that occasion, fell short. Nana fell short of the 50%, and so could not become the winner. It took Alan to concede, sort of be magnanimous to allow the process to continue with an acclamation, correct?
Yes.
What do you expect in this particular race, where in the special delegates conference, Alan did so poorly?
There's no denying the fact that Nana Addo is a colossus in the NPP today. When you speak to the people on the ground and the delegates, and what you hear them say is that he has been with them through thick and thin. He's always around, and they accuse Alan of coming around, and after elections, he goes away and then comes back.
That's a distortion, of course.
I will treat that with the contempt it deserves.
Oh, I was helping you.
No, you say...
no, not your distortion, not by you.
I was speaking and you said distortion.
Sorry, forgive me. You didn't get my drift. I was actually reinforcing the point. That
I
thing
accept
is,
your apology.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes. So...
And sorry, but Koku, can you clear that when you say it's a distortion,
it's not
he
very,
went out and came back?
It is not very factual that he runs out of the country anytime an election ends and then comes back only when there's a new opportunity. You don't need to be physically present to show a commitment to a political party's cause. There are many ways of contributing.
Professor Mills was in Canada for about a year and a half after elections.
You see, this bastardization of what I'm saying.
No.
I am reporting what the delegates are saying.
Something, I've apologized.
No,
I don't mean that you were being
No, for you, I've accepted your apology. You are my good friend. You introduced
But you understand his context now. He's not attacking you.
No, he's not. He's not attacking me.
Right.
It's now clear now, clearer than before.
Okay, so proceed.
So, and some of these things would go against him. There are those who also say that Nana Addo has suffered too much for this party. And so he's a man to give him. And there's a third one, that the man is aging. Why don't we just vote for him? And this will be his last term. These are some of the permutations. So when you look at all these factors, you see that Nana Addo is pulls ahead of Alan Chilmantin, and the rank and file of the party are yearning for him. But we have constantly indicated that, do you want to just elect somebody to be a leader for your party, or you want to elect somebody who would catapult you to the presidency? And that is where I'm thinking that the delegates must today look at and make that decision. And so for the figures...
Alan says that's the decision the delegates will make.
Exactly, that is the decision. Has Nana Addo got that national appeal as compared to what is Nana Addo?
Alan,
rather. No. Has Nana Addo got that national appeal as compared to Alan? Yes. So we need to dissect that, and this is the challenge for the NPP delegates. But if it is the internal processes and internal contest, I'm sure Nana will beat Alan today.
What are you expecting by margins?
And you see, what Alan has been doing, which is good, but late in the day, is appealing to the delegates. What Nana Akufo-Addo is doing is targeting the president every day, targeting the ruling party, and leaving his delegates. I'm sure probably he feels that, as for the delegates, I have them in my pocket. So let me fire my salvos to the president. But you see Alan targeting his message to the core delegates. That may lift up his votes. That is likely to appeal to the delegates. So I don't think that it is going to be that kind of 97% to 7% that we saw in the special delegates. I am of the view that this time around, the percentage of Alan would increase. I'm expecting around 10-15%.
10-15%?
Yes, somewhere close to that.
I see. Doc, in 2010, the 2010 primaries, Nana Addo had, let me just go to the percentage. He had 77.92% of the total valid votes. He beat Alan there. Alan had 20.9% 0.40 of the votes. Some say the last primaries show that Alan's popularity has diminished.
Yeah, you're talking about the delegate congress,
right?
Yeah, no, I think it's not scientific to make that conclusion, because like Uncle Kokebaku has indicated, the number that voted at the special delegate congress is quite, it's not that representative of the total delegate population, in the sense that, number one, in quantitative terms, the number, again, in the manner in which they were selected, it wasn't done to represent a representative sample from the various groupings that would form the larger delegate base. So
no, they rather say that the people who were there to vote at the special delegates conference were mandated by the delegates who are voting today.
That's right, yeah, like I was explaining to you. But the point I'm trying to say is that if you want to use a smaller number of a bigger population to draw a conclusion, there are two processes that you need to look at. You need to calculate the number and get the appropriate number that is representative of the bigger population. Not just that, you need to also select the particular type of persons who would, be representing the whole population. Then when you do that, at the end of the day, you can draw a conclusion based on the methods that you use to select the various people that did this particular process, to say that based on A, B, C, D, we can conclude that the outcome would be like that. But in this case, it wasn't so. It was, number one, the numbers were not representative of the total population that's supposed to vote today.
Right.
That's number one. Number two, the persons that came to vote on the day were not deliberately selected to be representative of the overall population that will be voting today. So it is not scientifically right. It is erroneous to think that, you had a landslide that's going to reflect in this particular one the same way. I don't think so. However, looking at the dynamics on the ground and having followed their elections and having gone around on some trips and monitoring these things, I believe that Nana Addo has the great potential to win this election convincingly. Now, the problem they would face is reflected in the message that they spew out. Nana Addo talks about loyalty, having been there for some time, and also, talks about the fact that he is well known. Now, Alan comes with a very great message and says that it's not about just being popular within, but it's also being capable of winning the national elections. So it is now clear what the delegates will decide. The outcome of this election will determine whether the NPP would win the elections in 2016 or not. If they go for Alan, Alan's message stands. If they go for Akufo-Addo message stands. Loyalty within the party, he would keep the party people, at least core supporters, together.
Okay.
But to be able to move out to win
Thank
more
you very
people
much.
to
You're
win
still here on
2016
Newsfile on
is the
Joy
challenge.
99.7 FM. You're also watching us on Multi-TV. This is your Joy News channel. I'll be sharing some of your the messages that you have been sending in with us shortly. But Kodna, I'd like you to address this quickly, and then I will go around briefly on the question of factions and divisions, and then I'll finish up with you on the way forward from here. Is the party broke, number one? Because that's what we are told, that the party is broke, so much that it couldn't even afford to organize these elections, and Nana Addo had to pump in 600,000, is it? There are all claims about people going around and paying the delegates' monies and so on and so forth. I know, for example, that some of the delegates, I am aware, are being paid, is it 10 cedis, TNT, by Nana Addo to be able to be bused to get to the, where they have to vote. Whatever it is. You are not doing the busing. You should have been doing that.
I think it's totally untrue. First and foremost, let's establish the principles for how parties are run. Okay? Parties are voluntary organizations, and people have to be dedicated, to have qualities of service, sacrifice, and selflessness. And the principle of voluntarism, especially from officers of the party. So, first and foremost, as a leadership, we're concerned with the logistics, the wherewithal to give to the organizations to deliver the polling stations on the day. And as we said to you, because we are conducting under the Public Elections Act, what the EC required from the statement of poll, from the printing of our ballots, from the selection of the printing houses, and all that, our National Elections Committee worked in consonance with the National Elections Commission to make sure that, as we speak, all the 276 polling stations are open and functional. We had useful discussions with the hierarchy of the police force. Of course, they have a national duty to ensure there is law and order, but our reduced might to ensure that they can also work today. We've been able to do that. The place that we are going to do the declaration at, which is the Ifwa Sunderland Park, there were things to do to make sure that those areas are secured. So the important cost centers have been met. The party is not broke.
Have you done anything differently from previously?
Let me continue, because this is a very resourceful party, as Kwekubako said. And sometimes I want to take you back into history. This is a party that had been in opposition for close to 30 years, but with the advent of democracy in 1992, was the first to buy itself a national headquarters. Not that any one person had the money. People contributed small amounts to build a party. That was the spirit. People wanting to give to the party. So we, as leaders of the party, have to lead by example. And the principle is to revive that spirit of voluntarism. We expect that if you are in Kokomlemle here, which is part of Ayahuasca Central, you don't need any transport to go and vote. You don't. And I will not encourage that. We, as a leadership, will not encourage that. We want to send a good message, a sound principle to our larger population.
So it was wrong to have done that previously?
We think it's wrong. In fact, we've been very selective. What we have done is look at the distressed areas around the country to support them. All of Upper East Region, all of Upper West Region, 21 constituencies, the most deprived areas of Northern Region, the 5 constituencies in Upper Northern Volta, some constituencies in the Southern Volta, the 7 distressed constituencies in the Eastern Region, for instance, Afram Plains and the rest, the Yellow Krobo areas, the Seshi, the 9 constituencies in the Seshi areas. Why do you need to give somebody money in Sekondi to go and vote, or Bantama, or Asokwa,
but
or Asawasi?
Can I do this rude intervention? I can see the drift, perhaps the need for a review of some policy. But at what point in time was this communicated to the target groups? That for me is the key. If indeed it's a new policy by a new executive in order to infuse some voluntarism in a party, it's something you can't throw away into the gutter. But at what point in time was this very refreshing policy?
Who told you that there was any complaints coming from the ground?
Oh, but I'm a journalist.
Yes.
I've heard on air.
Yes. So we said to them that we will support the distressed areas, and those monies have left.
The question is,
at what point that one?
Those the non-distressed areas that you think they can voluntarily go on their own, were they told ahead of time that the party will not support them, in contrast to previous...
You are telling me that you are in the due, and you want to be given money to go and vote?
I'm just asking. This is important.
Something is wrong.
Human beings.
They are executives of our party. Nobody needs to communicate these things to them in the first place.
I'm not too sure about
Well, when they have meetings on their own, constituency meetings, do you give them money to go to the meetings?
No.
And on election day, please, let's be very clear.
No, but they would have had a legitimate expectation that because this is how it was done, it will be done again this time.
It is not a legitimate expectation. They are supposed to pay their dues and contribute to the party.
It's a convention.
So you may have been late then, and cannot now blame the candidates.
Nobody is blaming.
If they have sought to give money to
no
these
candidate
people
has done that
in the name of TNT.
First and foremost, I think I've said that.
They've done it.
I'm surprised that you are repeating it.
I am telling you, they've done it.
No candidate.
They've done it.
I've heard people talk about bailouts.
They've given 10
they've done
to the delegates. Yes.
That's their own wish. I've been a candidate before. When I went and met people because they traveled distances, I chose to give them a little support.
Yeah,
it is support. You see, the work that people do for our party, we can't pay them. What we do is to show appreciation for their work, and that has to be the principle. And that is the vision of this new leadership, that people should be committed to the party, to die for this party, and to volunteer for this party. That is how we build parties.
Right.
And so, especially in the metropolitan areas, they have no reason to expect anything from the center. In any case, every party has an organization at the local base. They have a treasurer, they have a financial secretary, they are supposed to set up their own fundraising. So they are telling us, are we saying that our party units cannot organize meetings on their own, and that they need money from the center to organize meetings? Then we don't have a party. We want to build a strong party. We want to build strong structures on the ground, where we recognize that, considering the economic situation and all that, and the distances. Somebody in Kintampo, he come into the center, maybe has to travel 40 kilometers, but those in Kintampo town don't need money to come and vote.
It may make sense.
So we support the constituency and then get them to find, they have local arrangements. They understand. Those who are doing this out of some vile propaganda, and I don't want to even dignify
these
what
are
they're
these are the same people. Yes. Alan promised to facilitate how they are able to be mobile to do what they have to do. And the NPP's national organizer describes that as a donation. And so, again, will you be expecting that if Alan wins, he will donate those motorbikes and things that he spoke about?
Foremost, political figures, I want to advise all the candidates that when you become the candidate, you don't run the campaign on your resources. No candidate has the money, the personal money. You mobilize people. I ran a campaign. It was very expensive. Very little came from my own resources. People who believed in me contributed. Your friend Paul Adumachiri gave me 100 CDs on TV.
Yes, I remember.
He failed to give me anything. You know, and there are people who give you 5,000. People who trust you and give you 20,000. Now we believe in you. We push you. That's what politics is about. Being able, that's why we talk about resourcefulness. Being able to generate the confidence for people to donate to you. That is the important principle. So this talk about a candidate coming to bail out, our party is not broke. We are the officials of the party. No official of the party has communicated to the media our inability to do this election. It's happening right now in your eyes. So that is a falsehood. You know, and sometimes it's worrying when people of a certain level in our party, who have occupied high offices in our party, can stand on platforms and make such irresponsible statements. They are worrying. And,
I see.
And we want to condemn that. It's not right. You know, we believe that there should be a new vision. We should reorient our party base. That made this party an attractive one in 1991, 1992. That people were prepared to die for.
Just a small point on the earlier question. Imagine that Alan won today. Will you expect him to route what John Boadu calls a donation to the national headquarters, or give it directly to the members of the party as he promised?
First and foremost, whoever becomes a candidate is not an independent candidate. He's the candidate of the party. The party has a leadership. The leadership has a structure. And so we work in collaboration with the elected presidential candidate to use the party's resources.
His promise was that he will give them the motorbikes and bicycles they will use for the purposes of the party. When they are done, they can keep them. Will you expect that he will route those items through the headquarters?
My advice to all who are aspirants is that is not the way to go. You work, and as the party's people donate in kind, in cash, in all sorts of things, and it goes to the party. If it is the decision of the national executive that hard-working polling station executives need motorbikes, why do you want to retrieve it from them? You know, it's a norm. So, like you said, as Kweku was adducing to about this provisional results and all that, it is a norm. Anytime we do that, unless there are huge sources of, you know, differences, these are things you leave. In fact, when I was going around in my campaign to become General Secretary, I went to several constituencies where motorbikes that were to be used for 2012 elections were still lying there. It belongs to the party, but the organizers can use them. Executives can use them for party work. So there's nothing new about that.
All right.
You know, so I don't think it's something.
And I'm just seeing pictures of Nana Akufo-Addo, who just finished voting at the national headquarters. He just finished casting his ballots at the headquarters at Asylum Down. Interesting there. Now, Kweku, now I want you to look at it from this direction. After, even before the August 30, you know, scaling down process of the delegates' special electoral college, we've had several other persons, candidates, MPs, bigwigs in the party, throw their weight behind Nana Akufo-Addo. You have very few who have openly come to support Alan Shramanting or the other animal, so to speak. There are those who say that some of these open support, show of open support, goes further to divide the party such that after today, the party will hurt. You have been brought into the front line. Dr. Richard Anani says that you don't understand what he was talking about when he refers to Nana Addo at a point seeking to have Kufuor replaced, even after he had been elected to lead a party.
There are two things here. Are you asking me to deal with the Anani matter or the general chorus of declaration of support for Nana by some?
All of these speak to the question of division.
Okay. As for the first part, even before the nominations, even before Tamale, that's immediately after the Supreme Court petition process, you had that whole chorus ongoing. You remember my attitude here. I thought it was unnecessary. I thought it was even irresponsible. Unfortunately, it was led by my own friend, Sir John, and I condemned it here. Post-nomination, it continued. I thought it was superfluous. I didn't think Nana Akufo-Addo needed that kind of public declarations. So I've always had a problem with that particular approach. So it was unnecessary. I don't know why people were doing it, but they defended that practice. So, well, today is the end. We'll see what the delegates themselves say on the ground. Because my view was that the delegates are out there, they are known. And so they should have gone to them and target them, market their messages to them. All this radio noise and things and attack, counter-attack and all that, it was rather destroying the corporate integrity of the party. And I've said so openly. I still stand by that. Now with Dr. Anani, you see, he said, and I'm quoting Dr. Anani, really the portion relevant to me. He says, it is with a heavy heart that I enter into a diatribe with my friend, but for the sake of history and truth. And it's true, it's with a heavy heart that I'm going to do what I'm going to do now. The last two paragraphs of his rejoinder, or whatever it is, he says, and I quote again, I wish to re-emphasize that above are for the education of the young and the new for historical purposes. We must endeavor to stand by the truth.
Can I do a little intervention here? Because I think this, frankly, we are here to discuss the elections of today.
Right.
And if we can do away with this.
Oh, we've had a new moderator now.
That's why I said I was speaking to the moderator. First and foremost,
can I conclude?
Anani himself is not here. May not have the opportunity to respond. And then let's
you can write.
See, he says, I do not intend to pursue any further discourse on them, since further discourses could only open wounds which would not inure to the benefit of the great party we all cherish. You know what? I thought this particular statement by Dr. Anani was avoidable. He ought to have forgotten about it. He did a fair shot at a rally held in, to launch Mr. Achirmante's campaign. I thought that was also avoidable. Then Ajiri Branson came in.
Is it avoidable that he should tell what he feels he knows to be the truth?
If
and
he
says it is the truth.
If I finish,
he knows to be the truth that Nana Addo, at a point, schemed to have Mr. Kufuor replaced so that he would take the place of Kufuor.
You see that?
And that because of this, he never really wanted to campaign for Kufuor until the last minute when he was, urged on to come and to support Kufuor in the campaign.
So there are two elements here. I was dealing with the one that concerned me first. The first one is about this covert ops or scheme to replace an elected candidate by some people, and that the beneficiary obviously would have been Nana Akufo-Addo.
Right.
I have my own problems with that, how absurd it is, and I could explain that. But I wanted to deal with my first, since we are talking truth. And there's a linkage. If you permit me, you will see what I'm going to do. See, Dr. Anani says this. Let me read this thing. He says, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo never supported, and this is in caps, the Kufuor campaign from 1998 till December 2000, when he attended the last rally. Nana Akufo-Addo had been prevailed upon that candidate Kufuor was winning the 2000 election. Hence, it would be unfortunate if we were not part of the victory. It was Nana Akufo-Addo's statement at the last rally, Womechekemi, that attracted the publicity my friend Abdul Malik must be referring to. Nana is cast, of course, in the mode of an opportunist here, but I am also cast in the mode of maybe exaggerating history or not having the specifics. Now, let me prove to you why this cannot be true. Number one, have patience for me. It will take just 5 minutes. At the Sunyani Congress, when they finished, all the losing aspirants mounted the platform and made concession statements. Listen to what Akufo-Addo said. This is a publication in my paper, then the Crusading Guide, 27th October. And I'm quoting from the publication. First to mount the platform was Nana Akufo-Addo. While congratulating Mr. Kufuor on his victory, he pledged his support for him to win the year 2000 election. Quote, in the year 2000, J.A. Kufuor will emerge president. That's number one. It doesn't mean much. Number two, and here we go. This is dated 1st December 1998. General News, Ghana Web. The New Patriotic Party presidential candidate, Mr. J. Kufuor, has called for the issuing of photo. The headline is, issue photo ID cards to all Kufuor. And it was at a national rally of the NPP, campaign rally. The significant point, in order not to waste time, come down to the last paragraph. Mr. Samuel Odo-Sais, national chairman, introduced Mr. Kufuor to the large gathering and asked Ghanaians not to jump to any conclusion that, quote, President Rawlings really took the alleged bribe of $5 million from the late Nigerian leader, Sani Abacha, but should allow him to clear his name. He said the allegation doesn't affect the integrity, image, and reputation of President Rawlings, but the nation as a whole. Nana Akufo-Addo, this is 1st December 1998, 2-3 months after Sunyani. Nana Akufo-Addo, a defeated presidential aspirant of the party, said the unity of the party is unbreakable, adding that, quote, there is no more anything like Akufo-Addo, Apreku, Kufuor, and J.H. Mensah groups. We are all children of one mother. All of us defeated presidential aspirants are pooling our resources behind Mr. Kufuor to ensure that victory becomes ours in the year 2000 elections. This is number two. Number three, dated 26, watch the dates. This was 1st December 1998.
I'm watching the date, I'm watching the time that you timed
I'll
yourself.
finish very soon.
Okay,
please, it's critical for me.
No, you go ahead,
Number three, 26 January 1999, Ghana Web. Nana Akufo-Addo, member for Abuakwa, MP for Abuakwa, has urged Muslim community to challenge the New Patriotic Party's capabilities by voting it into power in the 2000 elections. He said, quote, witnessing almost 17 years of increasing poverty and gloom under the PNDC, it is worthwhile trying a new political party to enable the people compare the two and judge for themselves which of the political parties generally has the interest of the Muslim and Northern community in particular and the nation as a whole. This was at a rally in Kukuruntumi. This is number three. Number four, there were problems after Sunyani. And just like Alan Chamranti had cause to write to complain about harassment of his supporters post-2007, people tend to forget Akufo-Addo did similar in 1999. This is a letter dated 12 March, Nanado's is dated 9th March 1999, addressed to the party chairman. I quote only two relevant portions. I have both at and since Sunyani openly indicated my willingness to play my full part in the great electoral battles that confront our party. I have everywhere insisted on respect for the verdict of Sunyani and called upon all and sundry in the party to support our chosen candidate so that together we can win power in 2000 to realize the dreams of liberty and prosperity which animated the founders and martyrs who established our movement over 50 years ago. I would be grateful if you could use your offices to look into this matter, and if there's an iota or inkling of truth in these allegations, to do whatever is necessary to bring to an end such divisive, vindictive practices. It does us no good. Surely the wisdom of the old adage, united we stand, divided we fall, cannot be lost on all of us, after the traumas we have experienced in our quest for power. This was also copied to Mr. Kufuor.
Right. And the point is,
no,
we can stop on this letter.
No.
No, the evidence is...
No, please. I know. The last two is clear.
You don't need so many evidence to make your point.
The man said until 2000 last election. Please, wait.
Okay, so maybe we should go to the very last one.
This is number 5. Oh, it's only 2 more left. Don't worry. NPP will not flout the law. At least, this is a privilege you should give me. I've been here since 1997. You understand that? Do that for me.
Yeah,
yes. This is, NPP will not flout the law. This is Daily Graphic. 6th November 2000. I've given you 98, I've given you 99, and I'm giving you 2000. And this was a rally, regional rally, held by the party at Kufuor. Mr. Kufuor spoke. Now, last paragraph said, other speakers at the rally were Nana Akufo-Addo, Mr. Yao Barima, Mr. Felix Kwesi Owusu Japan, members of parliament. The last one is the one he was referring to, December 4th. And there are more. I decided to do this selection just to prove a point that it cannot be true that Akufo-Addo, after losing Sunyani, vanished into thin air and reappeared suddenly on December 3rd, 2000. Yes, it just cannot be true. And the evidence is clear here. So, it's with a heavy heart that I've had to do this exercise. Because you see, Dr. Anani is my good friend.
But there are those who say this justifies why former President Kufuor doesn't seem to find, a reason to vote in this process as very important.
That's Kufuor's choice. He's not compelled to vote. But I think I understand his drift. He's a very wise man. Look, I just love the gentleman. He's unique within the NPP political party today as well as their tradition. For good reasons, he's decided not to cast a vote. That's one vote. It's important. I don't have a problem with him on that score.
Makes a whole lot of
I don't
difference.
have a, but okay, when we come back, I'll deal with the other claim about the covert ops and the absurdity in it.
I see. We do not intend to come back to this issue because I wanted us to wrap up on the question of divisions, and then I'll end with Kwabena, who will now, take us forward how to look at
I've established the truth or otherwise.
Right.
So I'll leave it.
Now, Doc, you hear all the claims about the divisions. Nanado has appeared on Paula Dumoche's show, Good Evening Ghana, and says, look, these are perceived, divisions, and if anything at all, there's a vibrant party. What do you expect? But in the end, they will all come together and march forward into 2016. Some say history does not vindicate that claim. The example that Kweku now seeks to, dispel.
The history does. Inusa resigned at a very critical moment. Before the 2000 election. There were many examples of crisis in the NPP before the 2000 election.
Okay, so
but they came together and
how do you see particularly the rivalry or faction between NPP for Akufo-Addo and for
thank you.
Today?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to join my brother Honorable Kwabena Agyapong to really condemn people like Sir John who have gone about to make statements that that they have given money to party delegates, which Honorable Kwabena Agyapong is saying clearly that it's not the case, that it is not true. We would like to join in condemning these particular acts. Number two, in terms of public officials joining.
Forget about Sir John. I'm telling you that it's happening.
Okay, that's right.
Unless you want to condemn him too.
No. The second point that I'm trying to talk about is about this open, declaration of support. And these things, I'm mentioning them because they are the basis upon which I'm going to do my conclusion. Either, of course, this division would continue after this Congress or not. The open declaration by leading members of the party is against even regulations that have been established by these same people. And it is suggesting that these people do not even believe that the party executives have the capacity to regulate them or as it were to control the party and its leadership. Now, I'm just trying to bring in a little bit of thing that there's something of opportunism in this kind of open declaration, Kwaku Baako has said clearly that he doesn't understand the reason for which they are doing so, because they are not targeting delegates, and they are even flouting party regulations, you know, in the face of it. And it is with the expectation, the belief that Nana Addo is probably going to win, and then when he wins the primaries, they would have favors within the Nana Addo's camp, and this can actually be related to what Honorable Aminanta had said in his tape, which probably we'll be discussing. Is showing that there's that kind of opportunism within the NPP. Again, to that particular question of whether this division is likely to continue, I think that the division is likely to continue, and it is likely to even be worse, because personalities like Sir John, who is an influential element within the Nana Addo scheme, has continuously, you know, made statements and acted at variance with party regulations and with complete disregard to party executives. It is given the likelihood that this presidential campaign, if Nana Addo wins the election, is likely to be prosecuted on another leg, different from the party executive and different from the regulations of the party, as Honorable Kobne Jepong has said, because any candidate who emerge will be running on the ticket of a political party. And these statements that have been made by leading members of Nana Addo's campaign, and people have even had, you know, reasons to believe that Sir John and Co. may play very active roles in Nana Addo's presidential campaign if he is elected. And if such people are going to be engaged fully in the campaign of Akufo-Addo, you can be sure that they would neglect the party executives as they have demonstrated from their actions and utterances over the period.
There is a cure.
Yeah, and
I recommend that Sir John and two others whose name I won't mention for now should be quarantined.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen because it's certain that
quarantined for 21 days.
Even no, can I just make a point? Even if you look at the Tamale Congress and the direction Nana Addo went, and all of us can see clearly that if Sir John had won, probably it would have, you know, and Nana Addo too had won, they probably would have moved. And the problem that we've had with the executive, you know, struggling to control leading members of the party who are known, you know, supporters of Nana Addo, is giving us the indication that irrespective of whatever happens, if Nana Addo emerges, this split within the party will continue, and the presidential election of Nana Addo will be run on a leg separate from the party leg, and that is going to be a recipe for disaster for the NPP. That is my opinion about this particular divide within the NPP.
They've had similar things before. They've been through it.
Abraham, see, okay, listen to Kenneth Herbert Hans. He says, today is a great day. NPP goes to the polls to determine who loses the 2016 elections against John Mahama. That's your thinking.
Exactly so.
And the divisions that are being spoken about will further discuss.
Yes, just as how Alan Chirimantin continues to lose against Nana Akufo-Addo, that is the same way Nana Akufo-Addo would lose against President John Mahama.
This is not an analysis, it's an expression of your wish.
But he asked me of my wish. The man was asking me of my wish.
Proceed.
So that's my wish.
But you know I'm pulling your legs.
You see,
I'm just joking.
Kwaku Baako read out a pile of correspondences that go to buttress the point that Nana Akufo-Addo was in support of Kufuor's bid. But that could be for public display. What Anani is talking about and what he said, for the want of the right word, accuse you of, was that you are not privy to behind the scenes machinations.
And that these were not documented. So
exactly.
You can't have access to
but
any
you
files.
didn't make me answer that. I told you that's one leg. Then I will have to deal with it.
That is Anani's argument.
That's not his only argument. That's not the only argument. He's saying...
Okay, Kwaku, just hold on. Allow him to make his point first.
So he's saying that for the cameras, for the public, you find these people speaking nicely.
Did he say that? He said the man disappeared.
What he said.
He said the man disappeared.
I am engaged in analysis. I will not allow you to determine the way my analysis should go. I am capable. If I'm deficient, I'll call for help from you. But now,
but let's be factual.
I am not.
Kwaku, please.
I'm not deficient at all. So,
propagandist.
What he said was that. What he said was that behind the scenes, you wouldn't know what went on.
Deal with that.
And because he is close to the power at that time and those who matter, that is President Kufuor and Nana Akufo-Addo, he is privy to some of this information. And so you cannot just wash away all that he has said. Particularly now that he's not on this platform.
He said Nana Akufo-Addo sent, is it Ejiri Blankson, to Odoi Sykes and JB Darocha to prevail on Kufuor to stand down because Kufuor was not well. Ejiri Blankson has come forward to say these are pure lies. He uses the word lies.
Yes.
You don't want to believe Ejiri Blankson, who is referred to as a witness at the time.
The challenge we have is that these allegations from Anane, as he rightly put it, have not been documented.
Right.
And so it is his word against Ejiri Blankson's word. So which of the truths is actually true is what will forever.
So can I make a point?
We have forever people like Kojo Mpieni who were mentioned as being
exactly. So I am of the view that because of the deep-seated cracks, these things are now emerging. So what should NPP be mindful of? They should be mindful of these cracks, and we should not behave as if we are ostriches and think that there's nothing happening. You have alluded to some of the indiscipline in the party. Talk about Sir John, whom we have been told today that he should be quarantined. All these things go a long way to deepen the cracks. He was caged, but he's out. So you need to understand that there are deep-seated cracks. And for me, I do not want to wash away Anane's pistol. I think that we need to interrogate it further and see how true that is.
So you are convinced in your mind that when if it happens today that Nana Akufo-Addo wins, Alan will not throw his weight behind him, Anane and his like will not support Nana Akufo-Addo, and this will be the division that will lead to perhaps another, defeat for.
I can tell you what will happen. There will be a declaration from Alan supporting and congratulating Nana Akufo-Addo. There will be that. There will be a newspaper publication that we should support him, but in truth and in fact, they will not give their. See,
you will not see him on the campaign.
You will not see him throwing his weight behind.
You will not see him on the
because
campaign.
Because of the cracks. Look at the elements. Look at the elements behind.
Confusion of thought.
Look at the elements behind these two personalities and how they speak. Nana Ohinto, very strong language. Sir John, very strong language. So you don't expect that these people can easily come together. My last point is Kobna Japon's. We need to move away from that. In his submission, he made a point that people must die for political parties. Nobody should die for a political party.
That is a figure of speech. You know what?
But people take it seriously. They misinterpret what we are saying.
I'm not saying the word sacrifice before he said that.
Yes. So no, I'm not actually attacking you. I am trying that as politicians because we have followers. You go out here and say they will say that, oh, it's the General Secretary who said it. People should rather live for political parties so that they can contribute to the development of political parties.
You set up a heroes fund.
Nobody should die for a political party.
Your party set up a heroes fund. And one of the elements was people who had died for the party. Their families to be catered.
Heroes must live.
Okay, now heroes must live. Kobna is going to speak finally on this. Kobna is going to speak finally on this. And Kobna, the question is this: that you have a Herculean task ahead.
Yeah.
How to be able to bring all these factions together at the end to be able to fight as a united party to win elections in 2016?
Well, first and foremost, there are things that... There's a word called discretion, which is a very important word in politics, because you can see from what Hubaho has done, anything you say today gets recorded and it's there for life. So you have to think through it. And sometimes on a platform, people say things. And because you are there to campaign, to win souls and to win votes. Frankly, when I heard Dr. Anane speak, I didn't think there was a need for him to say what he said. Because that contribution does not inure to the benefit of your candidate. It won't win you votes.
Sure.
It won't. And let's be factual and honest. It only creates more confusion. You understand? And, you know, as we are saying, one man's word, I was in the middle of everything. I know the full truth of everything. But I'm saying that in politics, there are things that you die with. If you want to be a responsible politician, there are things...
And the truth you know is that this never happened.
I say I have no comment on these matters. I'm saying that the discretion at that point, there was no need. What was the point in making that statement? To whose benefit?
You say it's historical relevance.
He said it to to make the point that, you know, people at the time were calling on everybody else to support Nanado against Alan Shermatin, and he says this is, you know, characteristics of
Menka and the rest were doing so publicly.
Try and get people to...
Menka and the rest were doing so publicly.
Let's suffice
2007, Alan voluntarily exited.
Okay.
Where is the relevance?
We are political leaders. Let's be decorous. Let's use a lot of discretion, and let's not poison the atmosphere. Especially on my campaign platform, I will not allow someone to poison the atmosphere. But anyway, I'm General Secretary of the party. I've worked with Eduboahene in 1992. I was a member of the national campaign team in 1996. I was leading Akufo-Addo's campaign with my friend Victor Newman in 1998. I worked for candidate Kufuor in 1998-2000. I was his press secretary for 6 years. Worked for his re-election in 2004. I stood myself. The results we were declaring, I was happy you didn't mention what I got in 2007. I stood myself as the youngest candidate in 2007 and ran Shermatin's campaign in 2010. Now I'm General Secretary of the party. We recognize some of these difficulties, some of this language that we have seen coming from elders of our party, you know, and people who are supposed to know. It's unfortunate and it's wrong. People should calm nerves and tempers instead of creating more confusion.
We don't need that. Chief executive of the party.
And then, you see, there are laws.
How are you going to mend these divisions going forward? You have had concern to publicly,
but you don't want me to publicly disclose,
express your disappointment at the impunity shown at your orders and instructions.
Yeah. It was wrong. The reason why we're doing that, because today, as we speak, if there's an issue in a constituency, you will need a constituency officer to liaise with the Electoral Commission to solve that issue. So if that constituency executive has openly come out and say, I'm declaring for this man, how does he perform that duty? That was the reason why I was insisting, and the national executive was insisting, that if you are a senior party officer, you have your preference. I have voted. Your guess may be as good as mine. Who I voted for? I say your guess may be as good as mine. I've voted already, you know. Everybody has a right to vote. The Chief Justice has a right to vote. The Electoral Commissioner has a right to vote. But you don't need to come out openly and say these things. But a lot of water has passed under the bridge. So we'll move on from there. Of course, the strategies that we'll use to heal our party, you don't expect me to sit on air and deliver that. But I can tell you, I mean, we've seen worse scenarios in our party. So it cannot be done. And I've been there from 1991. So I know that we've seen worse scenarios. This is, for me, it's a storm in a teacup.
No, some are saying they'll just take it, you know, under you. You will not be able to do what you're suggesting you can do. They would run...
It's not me, it's the national executive.
In case Nanado won, they'll run a parallel, office. And you will not be able to do anything about that.
You think so?
Oh yeah, I think it's the case because...
please, let's not say these things. I've said this morning, whoever emerges is the candidate of the party. It's not an independent candidate. So my advice is, the national executive, our vision is to propel the winner to victory.
Okay.
We've done it before, and we'll do it again.
We're taking a break here. When we return, I'll read the text messages that have come in, a good number of them, and then I'll let Kobna, wrap up on some of them. They may have concerns. I'm sure there will be some complaints also coming from some of the centers, and then he will quickly wrap up on that for us. We're grateful that you made the time to be with us this morning and up to this time. This is Newsfile on Joy 99.7 FM. We are also, you're watching us also on Joy News channel on Multi TV. We'll be right back.